Okay, it's time. Here we go. This is it. This is the ranking all starters. Every single one that I have talked about so far. This is a 1 to 26 list, ranging from the one that I would more than likely pick if we had a game that had every single starter that you could possibly pick in it. Every single starter. This is the one I would pick guaranteed. This is the one I would most likely never pick. So this is a huge list. Huge list. Okay, so like I already said, this is going to be a huge list. The rules are simple. The person in the number one spot is the guy I would pick the most. We're counting down to see the person that I would most likely never pick, and this is every single starter. That's 1 through 26. We will be here all night if I spend too long on the introduction, so let's get started. Number one. Everybody saw this coming. Everybody that knows me saw this starter at the top of the list. This is Cyndaquil. Hands down, I don't know why. I can't necessarily explain it, but from day one, the second I saw Cyndaquil back in Gold and Silver, I picked him. I looked at the three. I said, "Doop, doop, doop. He's it." And from that point on, forever, he has been my number one choice, and that has never changed. In fact, I am still kind of butthurt that there is not a Cyndaquil in the new game. In Sword and Shield, we should have every single Pokemon possible. I understand if they're saving some of them for DLC to make the DLC usable. But by the end of this game, we should be able to have every single one of them. And as of yet, I even heard the new DLC is going to skip the second generation starter line and give us the third generation starter line, and it's not what I want. I want my Cyndaquil. He's my favorite. Let's move on. Number two, Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur was the first one I ever picked. He was number one out the gate by accident, and I'm happy that I made that mistake. I honestly and truthfully am happy that I made that mistake, because to this day, I have never regretted the fact that I had that Bulbasaur. Love him. Love him, love him, love him, love him. Number three, Charmander. Once again, this guy sits at the top of my list. I get it. People think Charizard is overrated. Well, I'm not going to argue that fact with you, but I'm going to tell you this. Things that become iconic are not always up to you. They're up to the masses. And for some reason, Charizard strikes a chord with the common person. Anybody, even outside of Pokemon, will tell you they know what a Charizard is. If you show it to them, there's a chance they know what that is. And that says something to his design, and it is strong, and it always has been strong. And I am one of those people that stands behind that design. I will argue with you that no matter what your opinion of that design is, whether you think he's overrated, you think it's time that we moved the fuck on, I get it, okay? You're tired of seeing him. He's high on my list because he deserves this spot. Honestly and truthfully. Because when you can transcend your own fan base, that's a huge deal. And for me, when I was a kid, he was the reason I bought the game. The quintessential reason I bought Pokemon was because I was walking by the display and I saw that dragon and I saw that turtle on the display, and I looked at those boxes, and the one I picked was the red version. To this day, I don't regret it, and he is still one of my favorites to this day. Number 4, Squirtle. Squirtle is a strong design. The Kanto starters are the strongest, easily some of the best designs in all of Pokemon history. And it's not just because they were the first, because I have favorites across the entire legacy of Pokemon, but the Kanto starters are solid. They are one of the hardest decisions for a trainer to make. You can look at all 3 of them. All 3 of them are appealing. All 3 of them are cool. All 3 of them have decent final forms, and all 3 of them are dependable from the start of the game to the end of the game. It is rare for people to start in Pokemon Red or Blue or Fire Red or Leaf Green or whatever version that you're talking about. Be given one of these starters and then just box it. You don't get halfway through the game with your Charizard, your Charmander, or your Bulbasaur, and then decide, it's not for me. And Squirtle's the same thing here. When you're going through and you pick Squirtle at say, even X and Y, where they give you that starter, and you pick the Squirtle and you're running through the game, it's hard to get rid of him for another water type because the Kanto starters are solid Pokemon and solid designs. Still, to this day, Squirtle will sometimes steal that spot from Charmander. Currently, he's making his way up the list. And if we probably would have waited 1 month before I did this list, Squirtle probably would have ended up in number 3, but he's here in number 4. Number 5, Scorbunny. Scorbunny is awesome. He is an incredibly solid design for this new generation of Pokemon. I've said it before, and if you want to go back to the other videos, that's probably best so that this video doesn't drag on forever. Scorbunny is, without a doubt, the best design of this generation because he matches the region like almost no other Pokemon has ever matched a generation to this day. He makes too much sense, and after using him and seeing his special moves and that playful toughness about his design, it is very wonderfully done, and it has instantly become one of my all-times. Number 6, Tepig. Tepig is the character, he's the Pokemon I picked coming back into Black and White. He was my most chosen until they released Black and White 2, where Snivy kind of took that position. But Tepig was the one that I saw that matched Hilda, or Toku, the best. And to this day, I still see it that way. That is a solid design, a solid Pokemon, and I love Emboar. I understand. Without a doubt, I'm not talking about competition because there's no doubt in my mind that Emboar would get wrecked by Blaziken and Emboar would get wrecked by Infernape. But I still like it, and that's my choice. And whether I could back it up or not, he's the design I prefer for my fighting fires. Number 7, Snivy. Snivy is that smug little jerk that you have with you on your RPG that you just love, even though every aspect of your being tells you that you would kick that motherfucker in the face if you knew him in real life. There's something about Snivy that has stuck with me for years, and here he is on the list, easily deserving of my top 10 positions here. Number 8, Piplup. Piplup is the quintessential cute Pokemon that I pick. And it's weird. It's weird because I realize instantly when I use him that Piplup is rough at the start of that game, At Diamond and Pearl, using Piplup, the thing is not great. You have an easier time running through the beginning of that game with Chimchar. You have an easier time running through the beginning of that game with Turtwig. Probably Turtwig the most. But Piplup, for some reason, catches my attention, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the fact that it's a penguin. Maybe it's highly unique, like the owl. The owl catches my attention. But for some reason, Piplup is always one of those things that I like if I can get one, and it's even further compounded in interest when I really stop and think about it and realize that it's from the game that I like the least. Yeah. Number 9, Turtwig. Turtwig is an incredibly solid design. First off, I like turtles. I've had pet turtles. 2 of them, in fact. One of them I had to give up when I moved, and the other one I lost due to a girlfriend situation that I never quite honestly recovered from. And I say that because I miss my turtle. Not her. That situation got way out of control, but I miss my turtle. This Pokemon design, I like how he slowly becomes like a walking island of sorts that you could almost live on. I like that he gets tougher. I like that he gets like I like designs like this. Like I like the new Chewy turtle with his frickin' buck teeth that then becomes the big thing. I don't know what it is. Just it always has my attention. He was very solid. He was very usable in other games because I did not play most of this game. Number 10, Owlet. Owlet is amazing. I like the fact that he becomes an archer. I like the fact that he's like a crazy ghost dead thing. I like the fact that he's an owl because it stands him out amongst all the other starters that we've seen in a very special way. I tend to like owls in general. I like his ultra cuteness that becomes ultra awesomeness. He's kind of got that rogue thing going on with him. And there's that little itty bitty piece of Snivy as he gets into his second form where he kind of looks like he's kind of stuck on himself, like he's a rogue, and he has that charisma about him where he's going to get what he wants, and he knows he's going to get what he wants. There's something just really cool about this owl design, and I tend to like it a lot. Number 11, Chimchar. Chimchar, to me, is a very superior design over Blaziken. Now, I know I'm going to get crap for that, but guys, when you play this game, you don't have to worry too much about stats. I don't play for competition. When you play for competition, stats are incredibly important. When you play just the game, stats are not as important, and you can usually rock through the game even if your stats are low. Most any Pokemon can be over-leveled in order to deal with the fact that their stats are not competitive level. So when I make my decisions, aesthetics come in pretty highly here. And Chimchar, to me, is simply designed better. 100% better. I think he looks cooler. I think he makes a little more sense as a fighting type, and he gives me that Goku feeling, that Journey to the West type of feeling, and I really dig into that when I see him. And the only thing that I think could have made him better is if he had some sort of power pole or something, because I really think that this end result is a huge deal for me. And that end result puts him pretty damn high on my main list of starters that I would pick. Number 12, Froakie. Froakie sits right under Chimchar, barely losing this design feature. It's a frog ninja. Frog ninjas are cool. And if it wasn't for the fact that all 3 Kanto starters hit the top of my list, chances are he would have easily made it to my top 10. In fact, I fought with myself literally for about 20 minutes as to whether or not Froakie deserved to be over Chimchar or Chimchar deserved to be over Froakie. And this one was tough because I like ninjas. But the thing that held it back is that Ash got like a special Froakie thing. And I know this is not necessarily fair, but the ridiculous amount of attention that Froakie got in his series as compared to the ridiculous amount of attention that Chimchar did not get, because yes, Chimchar had a cool storyline. And it really pays off in the end during that part of the anime. But Froakie was like a love letter. And something about that, I've talked about this before, I have this tendency to back off when things get too overhyped. And I feel like Froakie got hurt by this one again, so he ended up in position 12 instead of 11. Hey, Frog Ninja. Frog Ninja is cool. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm just explaining his place on the list. Number 13, Totodile. Totodile is the Pokemon that my wife picks. He's super cute, super awesome, super funny. He bites your head. I enjoy him. He's cool. He is really solid. I enjoy Totodile quite a bit. He's in position 13. I don't know what to tell you. I wish that if he's one of your favorites that he could have been higher, but he can't be because there's people in front of him. And I don't hate the thing by any means whatsoever, but for me, an alligator is probably not climbing to the top of my list. He made the middle, the literal dead middle, so that's what I got. That's where he sits. Number 14, Torchic. Torchic was the fighting Pokemon. He was the fire fighting, without a doubt. Can't take that away from him. And even today, in competition, when you get competitive, if you're going for a firefighting, you pick Torchic. It's just the way that it is. But for this list, this is not a competition list. This is basically a type of loving beauty pageant because these are the guys that I would pick. And since I don't play competitively, that alters the way that I think, and aesthetics play in pretty hard, and Torchic falls into 14th place. Number 15, Litten. Litten gets hurt falling into 15th place for one major reason. It stood up. It stood up. Had it been like a fire Persian, a fire panther of sorts, that would have been it for me. That would have been it, and I would have loved it friggin' forever. It would have easily climbed well up into possibly space 10 or 9 had it never stood up. But that final form, the Were-Kitty, it's not for me. It's not for me. It hurt it. Number 16, Chespin. Chespin gets hurt on the list for his first two forms. I'm not necessarily crazy about the first one, and I really don't like the second one. But I do like his third form a lot, and I think that once you get him there, he becomes remarkably dependable. But overall, those first two forms are tough to get through, and I don't necessarily love his third form enough to boost him any higher than he got. In fact, he may have gotten lucky because making this list was really hard and finding his position was really tough on this list, because there may even be a couple people that probably deserve to be higher than him. But when I was placing the list, this seemed right. I think 16 is about where I rate whether or not I would end up going through the game with him in a starter game where I got to choose anybody. Number 17, Oshawott, the overpicked Pokemon. Everybody loves Oshawott, and in all honesty, it's his final form, and the fact that everybody loves Oshawott that kind of pushes him down the list. Now, it's funny because I defend Charmander. But look, there's a connection I have with Charmander that is different than a connection that I would have had with Oshawott. Maybe if Black and White was my first game ever, and maybe if I didn't have the anime, and maybe if everybody surrounding me wasn't so addicted to the little thing, my decision would have been different. But it was affected by my surrounding community, and that hurt Oshawott's standing. It put him in 17. Number 18. Groki. Groki is cool. I like that he becomes this crazy drum-beating Donkey Kong grass monkey thing. Groki is really cool. I like all three of the starters. We'll get into that. I like all three of the starters in Sword and Shield. And Groki was the first one I played through the game with. And I don't regret that decision. I'll say that once I used Score Bunny, his position fell drastically. But I don't hate him by any means, necessarily. He got spot 18. Number 19, Poplio. Poplio gets hurt by his first two forms. Clown Nose Seal doesn't appeal to me at all. Now, its final form helped it a lot, but I've never quite used it. I've never quite been in love with it. He's never been something that I've gone out of my way to give a crap about necessarily. Like I said, his final form, really good. But the rest of it is tough for me to deal with, and it really hurt its position bad. Number 20, Trico. Trico is harmed by his third form. If I reach his third form, I don't care about him. I get it if he's one of the guys you like, but the reason he ended up low on my list, and you know that I play this game primarily at an aesthetic level. I'm not too worried about stats because the Pokemon, you don't have to be necessarily. He's not one of the guys I find ultra cool. His second form was a raptor, and had they continued that concept, I would have loved it. But then he becomes like a weird beer gut lizard, and I get what they were going for. I like him for what he is for the most part, but for me personally, he sits pretty low when compared to all other starters that I could possibly have. Number 21, Fennekin. Fennekin is one of the biggest disappointments in my Pokemon life. And Fennekin is punished for being one of the biggest disappointments in my Pokemon life, putting him all the way down here in spot 21. Fennekin. I'm okay with Form 1. In fact, I love it. I got used to Form 2. I don't know what the fuck happened. To me, you had such potential, and maybe it's because I wanted you to be another crazy Ninetales, this time with actual psychic ability. But you're not. And it hurts you. It does. Number 22, Sobble, the crying Pokemon. Your crying may have got my wife. It may have got her attention and made her say, "Oh, he's crying. He needs me." But, no. You go from whiny Pokemon to emo Pokemon to Secret Agent Man Pokemon, and none of them really make sense necessarily to me or make me care at all. And, sorry. You are almost the lowest water starter on my list. But I got good news for you, Sobble. You did beat someone. Number 23, Mudkip. I hear you like Mudkip. I hear you like it. What is it? Like what the fuck is that thing? What is it? I mean, like what? Huh. I'm glad that you like it. It shows that you're willing to expand your horizon and like things that other people don't like. But, when compared to all other starter choices that I've had, there are very few things that Mudkip will beat out here. He's not my favorite. I don't like him. Competitively, I think he's great because I like his typing. But that's not enough to put you on my team as the very first choice amongst all Pokemon and then run through the entire game. I heard you like Mudkip. I don't. Number 24, Chikorita. It's like a fat, no neck, Kirby leaf, stubby feet, dinosaur thing. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a Tamagotchi pet. Yeah, I think I just realized that. Chikorita is a Tamagotchi. And you know what? I was done with those things back in the 90s when I started carrying them to school and they would die in my pocket during my lunch break. So, I don't need a Tamagotchi. I'm going to go get a Pokemon. Number 25, Pikachu. Why did you get so low on the list, buddy? Well, I've said it before. You are a solid Pokemon that can easily run an entire game without ever needing to evolve. But I like Raichu, and the fact that the starter version of Pikachu takes my choice away from me and significantly hurts you in terms of all other starters, because every other starter on this list, aside from one, can evolve except you. Except that you can, and you won't let me do it. Taking away my Raichu decision puts Pikachu very low on this list. Giving me my Raichu decision would have been a very, very different placement. Number 26, Eevee. When the entire gimmick of your game is evolution, catching Pokemon, evolving them, moving them through this story, learning all their traits and abilities, building a team, watching that team evolve over time. And then you give me a Pokemon who is literally referred to as the evolutionary Pokemon. And you give me this Pokemon at the start of the game, which seems like the greatest idea in Pokemon history. He may become an Umbreon. He may become an Espeon. He may become a Leafeon. He may become a Jolteon. He may become a Vaporeon. He may become anything that I need on my team halfway down the line. Think about getting to the end of the game, or like midway through the game. You've beat 3 gyms. You've built an entire team of 5 guys that you know isn't going anywhere, but you need that electric. There he is. You need the water? There he is. You need the fire? There he is. He can literally fill any spot required at any time that you would ever need it. And you take the entire basis of this Pokemon, the entire reason for its being, and you shit all over it. And for that, the Eevee that can never evolve, the Eevee whose very creation idea, whose very concept design is negated because it is a starter, you get number 26. I will not pick you because you are stupid. I'm sure that people see this list very differently for themselves, and that is more than fine. But this was a hell of a list to put together. It was legitimately difficult, and this has been a long enough video I have now ranked every single starter Pokemon. And we're done here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.